What happens when a lie becomes a weapon? What happens when a person is falsely accused? Does it impact their life, their freedom, or perhaps loss of life? Let's talk about these recent developments in the case involving Tory Lanez and Meg Thee Stallion. Now, as many of you know, back in 2020, Tory Lanez was accused of shooting Meg Thee Stallion, and he has since been tried and convicted and is currently serving his time in prison. Now, in very recent events, there are a couple of individuals that have come forward and indicated that they know that Tory Lanez was not the person that actually pulled the trigger and that shot Meg. And his attorneys and other teams that have been working with him reached out to Meg's camp and to the camp of some others that were involved in this prosecution. And just right after that happened, Tory Lanez was attacked in his jail cell or on the prison yard or somewhere while incarcerated and stabbed 14 times and is now in the hospital fighting for his life. What happens if a person is wrongly accused? What are the consequences of those actions? Now, unfortunately for us as African Americans, this type of thing has gone on for decades. We can start with Emmett Till, who, 14 years old, was wrongfully accused of whistling at a white woman, and he was immediately beaten, lynched, murdered, only to find out later that she lied. The Central Park Five spent several years in prison being accused of raping a jogger in Central Park. And after years of being incarcerated and nearly killed, DNA exonerated them and they were released from prison, not having been the ones that raped that lady in Central Park. And then we have a former football player, Brian Brooks, in 2002. Promising football career, headed to the NFL. He was accused of rape, spent 6 years in prison, only to be exonerated, and the woman came forward and said that she lied. What are the consequences of telling a lie? What are the consequences of someone being wrongly accused? Sadly, in all of the cases that I mentioned, Emmett Till lost his life. If this is indeed a false allegation against Tory, he's fighting for his life. The Central Park Five and Brian Brooks, they lost a huge chunk of their life and lots of future aspirations and activities, like the NFL for Brian Brooks. What is the consequence? How do you repay someone for falsely accusing them and then robbing part of their life? We all know that any time spent in prison is a loss of your liberty, your freedom, and you're risking your life every minute you're in there because there are others in there that are horribly violent and that have done some horrible things. Now, false allegations, again, are very dangerous. Number one, they endanger someone who has actually been the victim of a crime that needs to be believed, protected, and seen through the process. When these things come up, when a woman is actually shot, when someone is actually raped, when something bad actually happens, we want to believe true victims. But if it's a lie, what do? It also destroys public trust. African Americans have zero faith in this criminal justice system. Now, we have watched several black men be accused, be sent to prison for things that, they probably should not have been involved in. We got Bill Cosby, we got R. Kelly, and currently they dragging Diddy down through there. We're not going to sit here and act like those gentlemen did not do something to create these issues for them. They engaged in activities that they should have known better. But would it have been like this had it been someone else of another complexion? I don't know. But for decades, black men have been wrongfully accused, and if they have not lost their full lives, They've lost a huge chunk of it. And contrary to popular belief, millions of dollars can't give you any of your time back, and it can't erase any of the experiences or the things that you had to deal with or undergo while going through that process. Now, victims absolutely deserve to be protected. I'm not saying that we should just not believe people when they tell us something, but the foundation has to be the truth. And once we find out that that person isn't telling the truth, that there is a lie afoot, that there is some type of conspiracy or something going on in the background, there needs to be consequences for those actions. And I mean for everybody involved. The person telling the lie, the person prosecuting the lie, the people that know about the lie. We cannot continue to allow this to happen. And it's primarily happening to us. These things need to stop. This matters to me as a Black woman, as the mother of a Black son, as the auntie of several African American young men, and as an advocate for social justice. These things are important to me. Prior to going into the financial institution, I was a social worker for over 20 years, and I saw so many people get victimized and nothing ever be done about it. So by no means am I saying let any of this slide. But what I am saying is that we have to stand on the truth, because just like there were so many young people and elderly people that were victimized as a result of different things that were going on in their families, there are also lots of people that told lies about what was happening and what was going on in their families. And a lot of innocent people went through a lot of nonsense as a result of those lies. It's got to stop. We have got to tell the truth. We have got to protect people. We have got to think more of ourselves and the people that we involve ourselves with. I don't know if we will ever find out what happened that night between Meg, Tory, and her friend Kelsey. I don't know if we'll ever know what happened, but I have never believed in my whole heart that Tory Lanez should be serving time in prison, because everything was just way too messy and there were too many different stories. And I think there were a lot of things that may have gone wrong in that investigation. Meg was right back performing right after all of that happened. I don't know what happened. I don't know if Tory is innocent or if he's guilty, but I think it's worth us finding out. When a lie becomes louder than the truth, social justice is the main consequence. And too often, it's a Black man that pays the price. And I am tired as an African American woman watching my people pay the price. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you think. Until the next time, toodles.